So my work here now is to prepare you, so that you are not a guinea pig, so that you are outfitted with practical understanding, knowledge of the human organism, of the emotional system, of the spiritual enterprise, all of that, so that you're prepared, so that you're no longer a guinea pig and just giving your brain to all these people around you rather than using your own brain to resolve. There's no one that's going to love you more than you. There's no one that's going to understand yourself more than you. There's no one that's going to better realize life than what your own experience brings you. And I'm simply going to come in here into the situation and say, here's all kinds of tools for you, my friend, that will allow you to go whatever way you want to go. It doesn't matter. There's no path. But these things are the fundamental things. They're the fundamental underlayment that you've got to have, or you're going to die early. You're going to die young. You're going to die before you fully experience all that life has to bring you, so you won't get all the answers that you are seeking, that you don't realize that you have. So that you die in an illusion, not even realizing that you're in an illusion. That's the tragedy. That's what was about to happen to me, because I was doing it. I was experiencing the Christian drug, the physical how to stay in shape drug, the what do you do with your life drug. I was experiencing all of that, and it was all delivered to me because I had given my brain to what all the group had said to give my brain to. This is how you do the spiritual thing. This is how you do the spiritual thing, or the physical thing. This is how you deal with metaphysical things. And when people start coming up to you saying that they're having these metaphysical experiences, these are the answers that you have for that. Whatever it is. And when you get sick, this is what you do. These are the people that you go see. This is how you handle that. And so I just, like a guinea pig, like a robot, I just took okay, and I hadn't thought it through. And I'm trying to come along to everyone and say, hey, here's a way you can think it through. And by golly, if you start watching and listening to me too much, you're going to be in the same conundrum I was in when I was in cancer, which was, holy crap, all the answers that have been given to me don't work. Don't work. When the pressure is applied and life really delivers it, for me, they didn't work. They were thin. Because I didn't have substance. And that's what I'm trying to deliver to you, is substance. Substance. Thick, rich substance that probably for some is extremely bitter and distasteful. Not distasteful ugly wise, but distasteful meaning, wow, that statement really, like, no. I get it. I had so many of those with cancer. It became ridiculous. But it's like you talk about having to make sense of nonsense. Oh my God. And so I've had to refer back to these fundamentals, because these are the only things that stick for me. And so it's like me saying, okay, well, I know I'm the guy in the room. I know the life that's coming to you. I know what's coming down the road. I know what's coming. I know what's coming when you get cancer. I know what's coming for a lot of you. And I know what's coming with the pain. And I know what's coming when the spiritual stuff starts breaking down. I know what's coming, the tragedy that's going to befall you that befell me. And I didn't have anybody to go to. I had to make sense of it. And I'm not saying you have to go to me. And this was the underlayment, the fundamentals. So my naturopathy gave me the fundamental underlayment that I needed to fight disease holistically. And then I had an individual that was just in this magical being that helped me, namely Dr. Chen and Terrence McKenna, that were just off the map. What am I to do? I have to respond to that, or I'm dead. What's that line from Shawshank Redemption? Get busy living or get busy dying. Stop wasting your time. Start asking the questions, and then once you get all those answers, then start realizing the questions that you're not even answering, that you couldn't even question. Like getting into that space where, man, you are off the map. And it'll start coming to you. It'll start making sense. Because life has no map. There is no map. And it doesn't make sense because it's a magical place. It's a magical experience. If you think nature is anything but pure, unadulterated magic, my friend, you have not realized nature at the level, excuse me, I'm driving. You haven't realized nature at the level that I'm talking about, to where it makes you kind of nutty. Because that's what life does when you're really, really all in, meaning you are really allowing it to take you as far as it wants to go. You see? You see? So what is nature? Nature is wiggly. There's not a straight line anywhere in nature. Look at a mountainscape. Look at the seashore. Look at the surface of natural things like plants and rocks and the soil. Everything is wiggly. There's not a straight line anywhere. So when you try and resolve life and abide to life through a bunch of straight lines, all you're going to do is generate anxiety. You're going to generate anxiety because you are trying to straighten out a life and scenario that's wiggly. So when you try to come in with a reductionistic approach and that's it, you're not going to be able to heal the body. You're not going to be able to heal the body. You're trying to straighten out a scenario that's nothing but wiggles. It's nothing but wiggles, because life is spontaneous. And the way you coalesce with life is through spontaneity. You come to it. Just like when you have a child, you come to the child. You don't expect the child to know how to develop the relationship with the parent and all this stuff. You come to the child and you foster the love within the child. That's your responsibility as an adult. So it's the same way with life. You're a child within life. And so if you want to foster understanding, living life, you've got to become a child. You've got to become spontaneous so that you have all the wiggles and you have all of the spontaneity and the unpredictability and the, oh my gosh, what's going on aspect that is life. That's what life is, because life is constantly surprising you. It's constantly throwing you curveballs, and it's constantly not behaving with you how you intend it to behave, how you want it to go. And so when you're trying to always straighten it out and trying to get it to behave as you think it should morally, or as you think it should physiologically, or as you think it should pharmacologically or emotionally, when you try and force the issue like that, you're just going to result in an anxious situation, in an anxious feeling, and in an anxious experience, because you're trying to force your will, your desire, all of this stuff which says I'm right, all this stuff which says I know, into a scenario which you can't know, which you can't be right, because there is no one solid path, because it's a big wiggly situation that's different for everyone. And every single life is different, every single scenario is different, and so the reality will be different for everyone. And so when it comes to healing the body, when it comes to coalescing with life, you can't do it through all this rigor, through all this demand, through all this insistence that life be something that you want it to be, or you think it should be. And it's never going to work out that way. And that's why I said when I started this thing, there are questions that you want answered, but you can't even form the question, because life doesn't allow the question to be formed, because it's so radical, it's so magical. It's outside the bounds of definition and thought and intention. It's outside of all these mind constructs, human constructs, which is called Maya. And Maya is the blinders that the mind puts in front of reality to keep you from seeing reality. Insistence is a form of Maya. Demanding love is a form of Maya. Demanding that a reductionistic approach to healing the body, demanding that it works, is a form of Maya. And so when you're constantly coming along and demanding and insisting life, It's never going to work for you. It's always going to be resistive to you. It's always going to be pushing back at you because it's a wiggly thing. It's a wiggly, unpredictable, spontaneous thing. So to align with it, embrace spontaneity. Embrace, I don't know anything. I don't know anything that's going on other than what I've experienced and what I know. I know that, but everyone else, totally off the map. And when I try and insist a map, which is straight lines, when you try and come along and do that with life, when it comes to healing the body, or when it comes to healing the emotional seat, or healing spiritually, you're never going to get anywhere if you insist a map, if you insist a way. And when you do that, when you insist like that, it's only going to generate anxiety. This is why I spent so much time in my early videos emphasizing the need to approach life through a spontaneous, open understanding without putting any insistence on life, without putting anything that it must be. And the reason why I did that was to bring clarity to the situation, because the situation has become untenable because everyone is insisting straight lines in this natural, wiggly situation. And it doesn't work. It doesn't work that way. That's why so often science fails. It doesn't always fail, but that's why it so often fails, because it's trying to come in and define a space that cannot be defined. Can you ultimately define a life? Can you define love? Can you define hate? Can you ultimately define all these aspects of life which you live all the time, but there's no way that you could ever describe it. There's no way that you could ever bring it into some kind of net. Okay, so what you can then know is, as long as you try and heal the body with straight lines, reductionism, and insistence, as long as you do that, you're not going to be able to find success consistently. You'll only find success sporadically, because life is spontaneous. So sometimes that methodology will work, because you have to allow for that within a spontaneous structure. In other words, you have to allow for anything, any scenario, anything goes. But what you can know from what I'm explaining is, if you look at the pattern of life and what nature is showing you, is that most likely that will not work. Because nature is showing you that she is completely wiggly. She's got all these beautiful curves and all these aspects of her that is totally outside the bounds of definition. And so if you try and define her, it's like trying to define your wife, or trying to define your husband. You can't. You can't. You never will. You never will. Because they're wiggly. Because they're a nature being. And so they're wiggly. So when you're going to address cancer, someone has cancer, you can't come in every time and say, you have to do this chemotherapy and that's what's going to do it. You have to do this surgery and that's what's going to do it. Because you're totally ignoring why they got the cancer. You're totally ignoring what's going to happen while they're going through the treatment, and you're totally ignoring the long term, how the treatment is going to affect them. In other words, poison them over the long term, and how that's going to affect them. And so, to understand the disease, you got to get wiggly. Got to get all wiggly. You got to loosen all of these boundaries. You got to let everything go. You're never going to find understanding, because you're walking into a situation in space which is totally magical, which is totally unpredictable, and totally spontaneous. You're never going to be able to map it. And when you insist theology, when you insist allopathic reductionism, when you insist that and that's it for everyone, it doesn't make any sense. It's like saying every rock is the same color on the same mountain. It's like saying every person wants the same kind of car, you see? And that's why we've gotten so lost as a culture, because everybody thinks they're right and everybody thinks they've got the answer. Nope, the truth of the matter is the final thing I'll say. The truth of the matter is, nobody has the answers. Nobody. Nobody has the answer. I don't have the answer. Nobody's got the answer. Anybody that tells you they have the answer, they're mad. They're mad. You cannot have the answer for a wiggly situation, a situation that can't be mapped, a situation that cannot be scientifically defined, that's a situation that cannot be defined through words. You can't. And so as long as you insist trying to do that, you're going to be completely lost, diseased, compromised, crazy, thinking in ways that offend people. You're going to be a racist. You're going to be all the things you don't want to be because you're a nature being and you know that innately. And when you try and insist these mind games on this natural landscape, it's never, ever going to work, ever. And so when you allow, that's what it goes into. See, remember when I was talking all that time about spontaneity and allowing the spontaneity of life to take you? Just spontaneously, completely and totally take you? And just allow. Trust, allow, be thankful. The three words that Dr. Chen taught me. That's called learning to allow spontaneity. But have the muscle, have the underlayment, the skeleton, the fundamentals that I'm showing you so that you're not a blob, so that you're not just giving your brain away spontaneously like, oh, whatever, oh, whatever, oh, whatever. That's not what I'm saying. And if you're getting that from what I'm saying, then I have failed in communicating what I'm saying to you, because I'm not saying that. I'm simply this guy that's come back from the shore, and I'm just unloading everything that what was downstream from you brought to me. And like that, the idea of the bodhisattva, I'm coming back to the group, to the individuals that influenced me as I grew up, the people that were around and constellating my life, because those are the people that I knew. So what's the moral of the story? Trust, allow, and be thankful. Trust, allow, and be thankful. It's exactly what Dr. Chen said to me early on in my acupuncture treatments. He said, Chuck, in order to beat this disease, you're going to have to trust, you're going to have to allow, and you're going to have to be thankful. Period. Work from there. Move out from that space. A space of trusting, a space of allowance, and a space of thankfulness.